Hello everyone and welcome back to another pre-recorded lesson video. Today we are doing module 2 lesson 6. Hopefully you've been keeping track of everything so far. Last week was sort of not an easy week, but it was just introducing the book and what we're going to be doing for the module. So it was a lot of just introducing a lot of things, but today is going to be the first time that we're really deep diving into it. So I'm excited to get started. Hopefully you are too, but let's get going. So I have an intro for today. I want y'all to think about this question. What qualities do you associate with the soldier? You don't have to write this down or anything. I just want you to brainstorm, to think about maybe stories you've heard or movies or shows you watched about soldiers or the military, things like that. Or maybe people that you know in the military yourself personally, right? You may have family members or friends or family friends that are in the military. So I just want you to think about the qualities that you associate with a soldier, okay? And just, brainstorm that by yourself and, just come back to this video, okay? Okay, welcome back. Why I wanted you to brainstorm, qualities that you associate with the soldier is because, we're reading about soldiers during World War I, right? I want you to see, what stereotypes or qualities that you already have in the back of your mind when you read about these soldiers, because that could affect your reading. And also, I think that's just a great thing to tap into your, prior knowledge, your background knowledge, and use that in, future lessons and current lessons. It can only help out your understanding, right? So next, the learning goal for today is we're going to be able to identify qualities of a character in the second company using effective evidence. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the characters. By second company, I mean, the group that we're reading about, the specific group of soldiers, and we're going to be figuring out what they're like, the personalities, what they're doing, things like that, okay? Then the important questions, the central question is, how do literature and art illuminate the effects of World War I? I've already introduced 2 articles to y'all in the beginning. I saw some confusion on that quiz. The Peace President Goes to War or The War to End All Wars, they're not the book that we're reading or the text that we're reading for Module 2. Those are just 2 articles I wanted to introduce to help out your understanding of World War I and what happened in it. Okay? The book that we're reading is All Quiet on the Western Front, okay? And as you saw on the course homepage, I sort of changed it up. Let me pull it up for y'all. Right here. Course homepage, it looks a little bit different now, right? I added extra buttons, and this is the book that we're reading, okay? Let me just explain these buttons really quick. This will take you to the online copy of the book if you don't have the physical copy. This will take you to a read aloud video of the book. And this is going to take you to chapter summaries of the book that I'm keeping up with. It gives you the main character, supporting characters, and here's a summary of chapter 1 if you have yet to read it, right? But let us go back. But yeah, how did the conditions of the front affect the soldiers? That's what we're going to be focusing on throughout these next group of lessons. Okay, the book is mainly about what happened to these soldiers during and after World War I, because a lot of them had a lot of trauma and a lot of mental health problems after the war, okay? And we're going to be seeing that through the group of soldiers that we're following, okay? So the main thing I want to do today is get y'all to get started on the book. Y'all should have started the book last week. You should have read chapter 1. If you have not done that, it's fine. You can read it now. Like right after you're done with this lesson video, go read chapter 1 or watch that video, the read aloud video, right? So I want y'all to see the title, All Quiet on the Western Front, right? And I have a Padlet link here. Let me click on this. Now I want y'all to just write down what you notice or wonder about the title of the book that we're reading, right? All Quiet on the Western Front. Like some of y'all may not know what Western Front means. Western Front basically means the front line, where majority of the fight was happening, right? Western Front, it's sort of seeing like the border of Germany and France. That's where a lot of the fighting during World War One happened, or the first initial fighting happened. So that's basically what it means by Western Front. And some of the questions I had whenever I saw that title is, why is the Western Front, where a lot of the fighting was happening, why is it quiet, right? Like, is the author trying to be funny and say that a dangerous place is a little bit quiet, or the author used the word quiet. What is he trying to say about the war, right? Especially on the Western Front, where these soldiers are. They're on the front line, right? They're one of the first soldiers going into battle. Also, the title doesn't specifically mention World War One, right? And that's what this book is about. It's about fighting in World War One, especially from the German soldier perspective, right? So I want y'all to just go on the Padlet, write down a notice or a wonder that you had. Sorry about that. I had technical difficulties, but yeah, I just want y'all to go on that Padlet, write down a notice or wonder you have about the title, and then come back to this video, okay? Okay, welcome back. So for the rest of the lesson, I just want to go over chapter 1 with y'all. Y'all should have read chapter 1 up to this point. If not, just go back and read it or watch the read aloud video, right? Chapter 1 is a really important start to this book. It sets the tone and introduces the characters and what they've been doing up to this point. So the book is set during the war. Like, the war is already started, and these soldiers are already fighting. If you see in the chapter summaries right here, these are the main character. The main character is Paul. We're reading the book from his perspective, right? He's the narrator, and these are the people in his group, or the main people in his group. Okay, Stanislaus Kaczynski, or Kat, Mueller, Abercrombie, and Theoden. So these are the main supporting characters and the main character. Okay, these are the ones that you're going to be focusing on directly. So in chapter 1, what basically happens is that, as you can see also through the summary, it opens up with Paul Bäumer, right? He's the main character, and he introduces his friends in the German army, the other members of the second company, okay? And they're basically just introducing what they've been doing. So essentially, the second company, their group has 150 men. They go to the front line, they fight, and then they just come back with 80 men. So that means 70 men died in their first battle. And it's basically just catching them up to where they are in the war currently, what they've been doing, how they relax. Also, it sets up why they joined the war. A lot of these men volunteered, right? Paul and a lot of his friends. So Abercrombie, Mueller, Theoden, and Paul, they're all 19 years old. Mueller, Abercrombie, and Paul were from the same class. Actually, they went to the same school, and it was their teacher, Mr. Kanarek, that got them to volunteer. Kanarek basically walked them into a recruiter's office and got them all to sign up by peer pressuring them, essentially, right? And it's basically just showing, it's the book in chapter 1 is telling you that they hate the war. They hate that they're in the army right now, that they hate that they're fighting for their country, and that they hate that they were pressured into joining from their teacher, right? The teacher, in their eyes, were supposed to be their mentor, help them, fulfill the potential and be ready for the future. Instead, their teacher signed them up for the war, and now they may not have a future because they may die in the war, right? So it's basically saying that they lost all trust in authority figure, and then you sort of see their viewpoint on war. It's very harsh. They're really casual about death. Whenever y'all are reading chapter 1, I want y'all to focus on the hospital scene where they go visit their friend Kemmerich. It basically shows how casual they are with death. Their friend Kemmerich is on his deathbed. He's dying. They know he's dying, and they're basically asking about, his boots. They see Kemmerich has a nice pair of boots, and they're saying, "Do you need these boots? Can we have these boots?" Right? They're not even worried about Kemmerich. They're more worried about Kerouac's boots and making sure that one of them has it so it doesn't go to waste, right? So it's very casual. That's the scene I really want y'all to focus on, because I think it's great. And the last thing, the second thing I want y'all to focus on is the phrase "Iron Youth." Iron Youth was a term that the German government came up with. It was basically just to say or tell people what they're looking for in their soldiers or their boys becoming men. They want them to be iron youth. They want them to be the typical German man, strong, courageous, not scared of anything, right? They wanted them to volunteer and willingly die for their country because they love their country so much. So they call themselves the Iron Youth, but they say it as a joke, right? They hate that term. So they always say, "We are the Iron Youth," and they always laugh about it after, right? And the last sentence of this chapter was absolutely incredible. It says, "But young, youth, that was long ago. We are old folk." So Paul is basically saying, we're not young anymore. I know we're 19, but in our minds, we are a lot older. We are fighting for our country. We are dying for our country. That is not something a young man does. That's what he's saying. We are old folk. We are not the same men or same boys that we were whenever we joined up. This war is changing us. And that's basically what this book is about. It's about how soldiers change in war. We're going to really be focusing on the mental aspect, the mind, and what war does to your mind, right? So you're going to see these characters change heavily, right? So whenever you go and read chapter 1, I want you to focus on the hospital scene and how they're changing. You can definitely see their transformation already, okay? That's basically what today's lesson is essentially about, okay? So, and whenever you're reading, you're going to be introduced to these characters. Again, Paul Baumer is the main one. And I want you to focus on their personalities and what they're doing in chapter 1 specifically, okay? And whenever you're done with chapter 1, I recommend going on to reading chapter 2 and focusing on their personalities again. I will be uploading a chapter summary of chapter 2 of later on today, so keep a lookout for that. I'll send out a message whenever I do that. But the personalities, you clearly see them very visibly in chapter 1. Like Paul Baumer, you can see that he is very caring, but that war is sort of changing him. He's becoming more bitter, more angry, right? Mueller, you can see that he's the most hopeful person in the entire group. He always carries his textbooks with him. He always asks them questions about what they're going to do after the war. Mueller has his eyes set for what he wants to do after the war. Albert Kropp is the angriest of them. He hates the war, and how he talks to people, it clearly shows that in his in the way he says stuff, how he says stuff, right? Kaczynski's their leader. He's the oldest one. Their group is 19. He's 40, so he's the only one that's not 19. He's very caring as well. He always looks out for the people in his group, make sure that they have what they need, food, blankets, clothes, whatever it may be. He always is the one that has it. He is their leader. And Theoden is the wild card in the group. He's a troublemaker, right? And you're going to see that clearly in chapter 1. He plays a lot of jokes. He teases people a lot, okay? Keep that in mind. He also has a very big problem with authority figures. So those you're all going to see in chapter 1, okay? So keep a lookout. Whenever you're reading, make sure that you are taking notes on how these characters behave and what they're doing specifically, right? And you know how you do that is by annotating, right? Always, always, always make sure to annotate, okay? And what you should be looking for is you should be underlining, important events or figurative language like similes, metaphors, things like that, character descriptions. Those are the stuff you should be underlining. You should be circling words that you're unfamiliar with. And after you read a good portion, I would always read like a paragraph or two, stop, think about what you just read, summarize that little portion that you read, and then continue after you're done doing that, right? That's just going to help you understand the book a lot better, okay? So that's what you should be doing while you're reading. If you're watching the Read It Loud video, I highly recommend following along with your book and pausing it from time to time and to annotate, right? But that's basically it for this lesson. I wanted to introduce chapter 1 and get y'all started on chapter 2, right? And we're going to go over chapter 2 in tomorrow's lesson, okay? So what did we learn today? We basically just got started on the book, right? I know a lot of y'all are going to struggle with this book. It is a tougher read. Even I struggle with this book sometimes. But if you're struggling with it, just watch the read aloud video. That really does help, okay? Also, try to read chapter 2 if you can. There is an assignment that I posted. It's basically about the characters' personalities in chapter 1. So this is the assignment. Click on this. And then, yeah, you're going to do this over chapter 1. It's just, I want you to write down the characters' personalities and what they were doing in chapter 1. I think it's a pretty easy assignment. Whenever you're done, just click submit. Y'all know the drill by now. But if you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, please let me know. But I will see you here for the next lesson video. Bye.